How you doing out there? How you doing? Okay, we're live over 77 WABC. Frankie Russo pre-show number 84. Yeah. It's about 10 to 12. Getting ready for the live show at 106. You got to join America's. You got to join America's team and get a T-shirt. AmericasTeam.today, RussoNation.tv. Join America's team and get a T-shirt. You know, this America's team, I'm coming out with something very shortly. I'm just going through the proper channels. I want to make sure everything's copacetic. And we're going to do something for the men and women of the armed forces. America's team. That's what I'm talking about, okay? All right, so remember, America's Team.today. Go to the website. That's one address. Or you go RussoNation.tv. Join America's team and get a T-shirt. This is going to become, the mission is going to be for the men and women of the armed forces. That's what we're doing. America's team. Okay, so stay with me. So I love this. As you know, I love this pre-show. I got my whiteboard here. It's the standard board. So today, I was thinking about tonight what we're going to talk about. There's so many things. I'm going through all these articles. I'm going to go through them with you. Like I've been doing. Let me get my grape juice, and we'll pop. It's Frankie Russo. You're over here live and stream. Just go to Frankie Russo, Facebook.com/Frankie Russo. So I'm going to start with. I want to talk about two things tonight. I'm looking for some information about two things: ISIS and Qatar. Now, why do I want to talk about ISIS? That's a great question. Great question. Why are we talking about ISIS? Before we get to the backdrop, I just want to go to my whiteboard real quick. Okay, I'm going to move this over here quickly. Just give you Fortune Sector Service Card, Sheriff Joe Nicole Posse, Obama, illegal president, Clinton Foundation. We got Russia. Russia's tied into the Clinton Foundation with Obama. We got Russia with the Global Terror Network headed by Iran. Russia's tied into the Iranian surrogates. It goes Iranian Revolutionary Guard, Quds Force, General Soleimani. Syria, Assad is part of the Iranian surrogates. And then we got the 5 transactions throughout the Obama administration that I believe Barack H. Obama, Christian from Hawaii, no way. This is Barry Soetoro, Muslim from Indonesia, evolving into Mohammed al-Muwad. Mohammed al-Muwad, to give you a quick rundown, he comes out of the Blind Sheikh's Mosque up in Yemen. They busted him for terror financing out to Al Qaeda, over 20 million, and almost 5 million to Hamas. And it was out of the Blind Sheikh's Mosque. They busted him for Title 18, Section 2339B, material support of terrorists, jihadists. And he sponsored individuals for training camps with Al Qaeda. He sent millions of dollars to Al Qaeda and Hamas. This Mohammed al-Muwad is a terror financier. And that's what I believe BOMB is evolving into, that model. And he was busted. He was found guilty in a federal trial. The whole thing. So this is what he releases 5 Quds Force leaders in Erbil, Iraq. I said about it earlier, 2007. They were captured. 5 Quds Force leaders were captured. Obama takes over in 2009, mysteriously releases them. So he just put human assets right back, and they were detained according to the State Department because they posed such a major threat to the men and women of the armed forces of the United States Armed Forces fighting a fight for us, right? Crazy stuff. Then we got the Bergdorf trade. We all know about that. $5 billion went to Qatar. We're going to talk about Qatar today. I'm going to add some more information on Qatar. Obama, and he uses Bergdorf and releases 5 Afghan Taliban, Al Qaeda, these operatives. And Qatar, according to the Senate Affairs Committee, a couple of the individuals over there wrote a letter to Obama. Qatar is becoming a safe haven for radical Islamists. We sent the 5 Taliban from Gitmo to Qatar, and $5 billion, according to Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer. Another instance of Obama throwing human assets back into the field to attack Americans and American allies. Very, very. This is what you call a pattern. We're looking for patterns, sequences of events, and there's a pattern developing here. Mohammed al-Muwad. Look, Obama administration, Obama and Kerry and Hillary Clinton send hundreds of millions of dollars to the global terror network. Right? Why do I say that? Authorized waiver, national security, humanitarian aid, Palestinian Authority government, Hamas. Hamas, as we've been talking about all this time, is a front for Iran. Okay? They're sending hundreds of millions of dollars to Hamas. Iran's giving tens of millions of dollars and weapons to Hamas. So who's Hamas? Iran. So Obama, once again here, is enabling Iran to go around the sanctions, helping Iran, helping terrorists, enabling terrorists. And 88 senators wrote a letter to Obama during this time of events. This was in 2014. They wrote, 88 United States senators, Democrats and Republicans, telling Obama, we got to block this, man. How do we know we're sending this over as humanitarian aid? How do we know that these dollars, these hundreds of millions of dollars, these United States tax dollars, are not being used by terrorists for weapons and or just funding terrorism, Hamas? How do we not know that? So the United States senators expressed concern. They wrote this letter to the president. Yet the president went around because the federal statutes don't allow United States tax dollars to go to terrorist entities. So that's why Obama has these authorization waivers under national security, under humanitarian aid, and that's how he's gotten around the federal statutes. And then we got the Waterloo, Benghazi cover-up, and it's they knew 10 days in advance. This is another instance where Obama's materially supporting terrorists, and Benghazi is another one too. He's aiding and he's materially supporting terrorists. They knew 10 days ahead of time. Obama, Hillary Clinton, Susan Rice, they all knew that a terrorist attack was going to be hit on the Benghazi mission. And first they said it was a video, then it came out to be Al Qaeda, right? It's not all that. It ended up being Ansar al-Sharia, the front. They were fronting for Ansar al-Sharia is fronting for the Quds Force in General Soleimani, Iran. And how do we know this? The Air Force during the other great foreign policy debacle, the Libyan situation when they threw out Gaddafi, they had these air-surface missiles, and General Soleimani, according to all the articles I read, Kenneth Tillman and others, Weekly Standard, Soleimani got a sniffing of this, and because they found out that they were going to give us those air-surface missiles to none other than the Syrian rebels to whack the Assad regime. So Iran stepped in and said that ain't going to happen, and that's what all this is going on. This is a pattern. So I just wanted to show that. Now we're going front and center now. Now you got the model. So we're looking, Barack Obama, H. Obama, Christian from Hawaii. No more, never was. Muslim from Indonesia, Barry Soetoro, turning into the shore of Iran, which we talked about. They got that nuke deal. And now he's turning into Mohammed al-Muwad, Yemen Sheikh, terrorist financier, found guilty in federal courts. Violation of Title 18, Section 2339B, material support of terrorist entities of terrorists, jihadists. Russia drops bombs in Syria near location not controlled by Islamic State. Russia launched its first air attacks in Syria, appearing to target an area that is not controlled by ISIS. Despite assurances from Moscow, it has increased military activity in the country to fight the terrorist group. The New York Times reported that Russian warplanes dropped bombs near the city of Homs in the western region of Syria, according to anonymous Washington officials. While officials and analysts from Moscow billed the strikes as an attempt to deal a blow to ISIS and also support President Assad, Homs is not controlled by ISIS. Crazy stuff. The move came hours after Putin forced a measure through the upper house of the parliament known as the Federal Council, which allowed the use of Russian military force abroad. American officials said that Russia made them aware of the plan to launch the strikes before doing so. I don't know. This was reported by Washington Beacon, Morgan Chalfant. Okay, what's really going on over here? Who's ISIS? The general understanding of ISIS, it's my understanding based on all the data I looked at. Remember now, I look for statistical significance. Frankie Russo, what are you talking about? Why do you say that? Statistical significance. What do you mean? Well, let's look at the reality. I don't sit in the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I don't sit in congressional oversight committees. I don't have access to classified documents. I just don't. I'm on the outside looking in. So this is a quasi model that I use. I'm saying the classified documents is the mean. That's where all of the data. If I had classified documents, we would know exactly what the government is up, what everybody's up to, right? But I don't have access to them. So I'm on the outside looking in. I'm looking for documents, court papers, judges' decisions, congressional oversight committees, well-sourced articles, things of that nature, law review, journal articles like the Kelly Moore article, which I think is a pretty significant one that I want to get to too. I may want to bring it in tonight. We'll see as this unfolds. But anyway, so I just got to find that article. I just had it. I was just on it. So we're on this thing with Russia drops bombs in Syria near location not controlled by Islamic State. So we're talking about statistical significance, just to give everybody a backdrop on how I approach this. So now, statistical significance. Washington Free Beacon, I don't have the article in front of me. Washington Free Beacon had an article talking about Iran and what Iran does. I don't understand right now the Putin element of this thing. There's people that are saying that the Putin element is global, dominance of the region, the whole, scenario of Russia being the major player. They have economic woes and all these different foreign policy problems in other regions. They want to be the global, the major influence in this Middle Eastern region. That's one scenario that I'm hearing a lot. And another scenario I'm hearing a lot, Putin and Obama are at odds with each other. I hear that. That's like everybody says that every other day. I don't know, quite frankly. I don't know if that's true. That's like everybody saying that Obama and Hillary Clinton, they hate each other. They hate each other. They entered into a quite frankly, let's be real now. The mainstream press don't hold Obama to any sort of responsibility, accountability, or anything like that. Just look at the service, the way the State Department was run. They don't hold. Obama's the president of the United States, the illegal president of the United States in my world, and he has. They don't hold him accountable. But yet they say, Obama appoints Hillary Clinton to Secretary of State, signs a memorandum of understanding with the Clinton Foundation with Bill Clinton. So quite frankly, based on the way the press has been handling this Obama administration, Obama presidency, this is basically a co-presidency. Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton tours the world with his Winnebago, President Emeritus, making deals on Iran's behalf as an Iranian agent with all the European countries to help Iran get around the sanctions. It's been well documented. Hillary Clinton's behind it as well, Secretary of State. And, somebody's making money somewhere with this foundation. There's the money flying in and out of the foundation. So it's the same thing. People say, oh, Obama and Hillary hate each other. They're these are OG gangsters. These are gangsters with PhDs. So I'm not going to lie, when they're together, they're going back and forth on who's got more. I think, honestly, that Obama's a bigger gangster than Bill Clinton. Obama has a fraudulent Secret Service card, statistically significant, Sheriff Joe and the Cold Posse, and he sits in the White House, the United States Commander-in-Chief. That's an OG gangster right there. That's an OG gangster. So truth be told. So all that being said, I don't believe the media. What's the most obvious? I don't believe it. I believe that Obama is, Barack H. Obama, Christian from Hawaii, forget that. Muslim from Indonesia, Barry Soetoro. We have statistical significant data to prove that. We talk about it every week. Just on his policies and how this whole thing flows. In addition, we have a fraudulent Secret Service card. Statistically significant. So there's a lot. There's a pattern. There's a sequence of events that equals. It's starting to, a picture is evolving here. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is, quite frankly, with all this going on, it's not the obvious. I don't believe Putin and Obama are all at odds with each other, quite frankly. I really don't. And here's why. Here's why. Now, okay. ISIS is Iran's instrument. Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs. Pinhas Inbari. He wrote this in June of 2014. Immediately after ISIS emerged in Syria, sources in the Syrian opposition said, "We are familiar with the commanders of ISIS. Once they belonged to Assad's intelligence, and now they're operating on his behalf under the name of ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria." Why would Shiite Iran support a Sunni jihadist organization like ISIS? Iran wants to be certain that a strong Iraqi state doesn't emerge again along its western border. The notion that Shiite Iran would help Sunni jihadists was not far-fetched, even if it seemed to defy the conventional wisdom in Western capitals. It is unreasonable to expect Iran to fight ISIS. If Iran does so, it's turning against a movement that has been a useful surrogate for Tehran's interests. Let's go back to the board. Just to address the notion that Shiite Iran would help Sunni jihadists was not far-fetched, even if it seemed to defy the conventional wisdom in Western capitals. We go right to the board. Iranian surrogates, Al-Qaeda Iran, Afghan, Taliban Iran, Hamas Iran, Hezbollah Iran. 3 of the 4 are they're terrorist entities deemed by United States Counterterrorism Center website as terrorist entities, as well as 3 of the 4 of them are Sunni jihadists. So it's all statistically significant that the Sunni Shiite divide has been totally obliterated by the global terror network, Iran. And it's evidenced in the Iranian case for 9/11, how the district court judge ruled that Iran materially supported the Afghan Taliban before, during, and after the attacks of 9/11, the horrific attacks of September 11th, 2001 on the World Trade Center. So, oops, there it is. That's one. Okay? So that totally obliterates anything about this ISIS and ISIS is a Sunni militia, absolutely. They're brutal, the most brutal, absolutely. But they're not the global terror network that Iran is. They are there. I believe they're left alone by Obama. Obama doesn't have a strategy. Obama doesn't know what's going on. This, that, and the other thing. And meanwhile, they're there. So everybody talks about ISIS. You talk about it in the street. We got to get ISIS. We got to get ISIS. We got to get ISIS. We talk about ISIS. Nobody talks about Iran. That's the reason why ISIS is there. That's my belief. I believe that's statistically significant. Okay? Now, to take this a step further, the ISIS connection with, they call it the ISIS-Iran-Syria connection. The ISIS connection with the Syrian leadership and hence with Iran raises serious questions. This is right from the article, the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs article, Pinhas Inbari, June 2014. I'm reading right from the article. The ISIS connection with the Syrian leadership and hence with Iran raises serious questions. It was recently noted that Assad released ISIS operatives from his prisons and for the most part left it alone, sparing it from attacks by the Syrian army. A New York Times reporter recently wrote on her Twitter account that according to a Syrian government advisor, ISIS was not a priority for Assad's regime. Two leading American analysts just wrote in the Washington Post, the non-jihadist Syrian opposition insists that ISIS is a creation of Iran. That ISIS is a creation of Iran. The more information I garner, I'm beginning to believe that Iranian defector. So ISIS isn't a creation of the United States. ISIS is a creation of Iran. So who's Obama? Who's John Kerry? Who's Hillary Clinton? Who's Susan Rice? They're Iranian agents sitting in these positions, helping them create this perception, this creation of Iran, ISIS. Crazy stuff. The U.S. Department of Treasury released a statement designating the Iranian Ministry of Intelligence. This is really crazy. This is what really blew my mind. The United States Department of Treasury released a statement designating the Iranian Ministry of Intelligence and Security, MOIS, as a supporter of international terrorist organizations. The U.S. document published on February 16, 2012, I have the document on my website, on my computer, specifically stated that the Sunni Al-Qaeda in Iraq, that's the, according to all intents and purposes, that's the beginnings of ISIS, was provided with money and weapons by the Iranian ministry. Within 14 months, Al-Qaeda in Iraq would be renamed ISIS. Thus, the notion that Shiite Iran would help Sunni jihadists was not far-fetched, even if it seemed to defy the conventional wisdom in Western capitals. And once again, it's there. So, on all intents and purposes, let me see something. I'll go here for this other thing. Okay, so on all intents and purposes, so now we got, here's another one. Iran aiding Islamic State with weapons. Washington Free Beacon staff. Iran is involved with weapons deals with the ISIS, Islamic State, in exchange for oil. These transactions are alarming Western and Middle Eastern officials who fear that Iran is trying to strengthen ISIS in order to ease the international sanctions against it and to spawn an intra-Sunni war. Okay. Certain commentators in Arab believe that the Iraqi government officials may be assisting Iran in these transactions, according to the Iraqi security source. According to Kenneth Tillerman, the Iraqi banks are floating a currency. The Quds Force is garnering $2 billion annually from the Iraqi banks, floating currency. I don't know the technicalities of it, but they're garnering $2 billion from the Iraqi banks. So this is very conceivable. According to the Iraqi security source, there is a growing concern that airports in 3 different cities in Iraq are platforms for transferring weapons from Iran to ISIS. The Treasury Department uncovered ties between Iran and Al-Qaeda Iraq, a precursor to ISIS, in 2012. Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence David S. Cohen said at the time the Treasury would continue to target the source of funding. That was written November 2014. And we got the Tower. Diplomacy. Treasury Department designation supports charges that Iran aids ISIS. Iranian sources are involved in shady deals with this ISIS. And there are many indications that the Iranian regime doesn't want to get rid of all of ISIS, neither in Iraq or Syria. Influential figures within the Iranian regime believe that an international coalition defeat by ISIS will make the Shiites in Iraq obeying more and more to the Ayatollah regime in Tehran. In other words, Iran expands their global dominance. The global terror network expands, according to that. Iran continues to publicly state it opposes the extremist Sunni organization, ISIS, and stands that allegedly put Iran and Western powers together in a rare agreement. Right. Yeah. And so goes the situation. Report: U.S. trained Syrian rebels hand over weapons to Al-Qaeda. First came reports that multi-billion-dollar effort to train moderate Syrian rebels had yielded only 4 to 5 fighters still in the field. The rest apparently have been routed. Yesterday, however, we learned that the rout was not the only disaster to befall the program. Pentagon-trained rebels in Syria are reported to have betrayed their American backers. Fighters in Division 30, the moderate rebel division favored by the United States, surrendered to the Al-Qaeda-affiliated Jabhat. I think I read this last week. Al-Nusra. Division 30 was the first faction whose fighters graduated from a U.S.-led training program. And yeah, I did. I read this. This is great, though, because I'm going to read this again because at this point, it's truly difficult to pinpoint the Obama administration's worst foreign policy debacle. This is great. This is so true. This National Review, David French. I read this last week. I did. I picked it out. I didn't realize it, but it's just worth reading again. It's so on point. David French's report on National Review. You got to check it out. Okay, and then we got another. We read this one. Iran aiding Islamic State with weapons. Russia. Okay, so now let's sum this up. Because we're winding down. What do we know? First thing, we know, according to 3 sources, I got 2, Kenneth Tillerman and the Washington Free Beacon Congressional Research Service. Iran sends Syria Assad 3.5 to 15 billion. So in all intents and purposes, we can say with much certainty that Assad is fronting for Iran. Truth be told. Okay? That's one. Assad is fronting for Iran. So being that said, right? Being that said that Assad is fronting for Iran, that Assad is an Iranian surrogate, for Iran. Iran is giving them money, and Iran is giving them weapons. 3.5 to 15 billion. We know that. And now we know that ISIS, according to many sources that I've cited, statistically significant sources, United States Treasury Department press release, it's pretty statistically significant, that ISIS is receiving weapons and money. Iran is giving weapons and money to ISIS. I'll go back to the board. Oh, Iran is giving tens of millions of dollars to Hamas. They're a Iranian surrogate. Iran is giving weapons. Iran backs Taliban with cash. This was written in the Wall Street Journal, June 2015. Iran backs Taliban with cash and arms. Okay? Afghan Taliban, Hamas, Al Qaeda. We know from this Al Qaeda in Iraq. We know from the 9/11 case, Al Qaeda, Iran, and Hezbollah. I mean that's in the Iran Iran case with the 9/11, the unfortunate attacks of 9/11. So in each instance, Iran is materially supporting, either with both weapons and money, and they're deemed surrogates. So I'm gonna add another one to the mix over here as an Iranian surrogate. Iranian surrogate, Iranian Revolutionary Guard, Quds Force, General Soleimani, Syria Assad, Hezbollah Iran, Hamas Iran, Afghan Taliban Iran, Al Qaeda Iran, CARE, Council of American Islamic Relations, ISNA, Islamic Society of North America, NAIT, North American Islamic Trust, Alevi Foundation, Assa Corporation, Bank Melli of Iran, that's all 650, CARE, ISNA, and NAIT is Holy Land Foundation trial. That's Hamas financing the biggest money laundering case in this nation's history for terror. And I'm going to add ISIS. ISIS has been added. ISIS has been added as an Iranian surrogate. ISIS, Al Qaeda Iran, Afghan Taliban Iran, Hamas Iran, Hezbollah Iran. And what do we define an Iranian surrogate? When Iran is giving you tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars, plus weapons, you are an Iranian surrogate, period. End of story. So the truth be told, now here's the kicker in this whole thing. I listen to the TV. I listen to the radio. The red line, Syria. Obama's asking Putin to fight against Syria. All these different. Are you kidding me? Based on all the information I gave you, which is statistically significant. I mean, in all honesty, are you kidding me over here? Obama wants Putin and others, like Putin, wants Putin to help him fight ISIS. Really? Obama wants Putin to support the Syrian rebels. Really? Are you kidding me? Let's go further with this thing. Like I said, what do we know? We know Obama. We know all this stuff on Iran, Syria, and we know Russia is right up in there with military base in Syria. Has given weapons to Syria and money to Syria. Well documented. Washington Free Beacon and other high-level publications. Well documented. Now, what about Obama? What do we know? Obama wants the nuke deal with Iran. right? He's sitting on as president, as an illegal. He's in my words, illegal president. Muslim from Indonesia, Barry Soetoro, is sitting on global nuclear proliferation. So he needs an agreement. He don't care what he gets. Something to wave to the American people and say, look, 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 I got us an Iranian nuke deal. He covered himself. Because I believe in the Lee Smith article that claims that if North Korea got the, if North Korea has nukes, so does Iran. And it goes through the whole thing. And I believe that's statistically significant. So Iran got nukes, nuclear capability. North Korea has got nuclear capability. Obama administration sitting on global nuclear proliferation. That means all, in layman terms, that means all of these rogue regimes, in addition to the superpowers, have nuclear capability. Crazy stuff, right? So he's covering himself. Give me a deal. I don't care. Just give me something so I can bring it to the American people. He doesn't care. Give me something. I'll do anything. And obviously he's done. Lifted sanctions, gave everything Iran wants. Gave him everything. So bad, he cut a deal with the Republicans, according to all the experts that I've read, that reduced the threshold of him getting this deal, whatever it is, through the Congress. It went from 67 votes if it was put into a treaty and done the right way through the Congress. For it to be binding, they would need 67 votes. But according to all the reports that I've read, I haven't read all the reports that have analyzed this thing, from the leading constitutional scholars, legal scholars, prosecutors, National Review, Washington Free Beacon, all these big publications, that it went from 67 to 34 to prevent the override of Obama's veto. So it comes from the Congress. They vetoed his deal. I mean, they veto Obama. They push it back to Obama. Obama vetoes it, and he's got 34 senators. All he needs is 34 senators, so it doesn't get overridden. So he wins. And not only that, he had his plan B. He went into the UN. So the pushback goes to Obama. Obama vetoes it. He's got the 34 votes. So even in that instance, we didn't get the right pushback. So with all this going on, Obama's got this deal. So do you think, now, think about this. Knowing that we know what about Obama, that he wanted this deal so bad with Iran, that he went so far as where he went to lifted the sanctions and everything, and we have pretty good, I think, a pretty statistically significant reason why he wants the deal. Then he went so far as he went to the UN with this deal. Then he went so far as he worked out a deal with the Congress, with the United States Senate, and we talked about that, how he got the votes that he needed, went from 67 to 34 just to stop the override of his veto. That's it. That's all he got. That's all he needed. So, and he got it. So here's my question. Knowing what we know about Iran, Syria, and Obama, do you think Barack Obama is going to Putin, asking him to help against Assad? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? He's taking on Assad. He's taking on Iran. How's he going to get the deal? How's he going to get the deal? There's no red line. It's all baloney. It's all fugazi. It's all fake. There is the red line. Assad, he can't do anything. He can't do anything. That's why he covered up with Benghazi. Benghazi wasn't, they knew about this terrorist attack 10 days ago. It wasn't a video. We know they knew they made that up. It wasn't Al-Qaeda. It was the front group, Ansar al-Sharia, who was fronted by the Quds Force, General Soleimani. They got snuffed. I talked about this earlier all the time. They sniffed out this move with this air surface missiles given to the Syrian rebels. who are going to look to whack the Assad regime. And, you know what happened there? We had the unfortunate event where we lost an American ambassador and 4 Americans. And what difference does it make? All these excuses. They covered once again for Iran. It's all about Iran. I bought this world map. I'm putting it all together. I got it laminated. I'm hoping to get a board. I want to show you on the map, with the help of God, I'm able to show you all the sphere of influence of this Iranian terror network. It is enormous. So when people tell you, we're going to close out. I didn't get a chance to get the cutter. I'm going to get the cutter next week. I'm going to start the top of the show off with cutter, unless something comes through the door in the news cycle that I think is pretty statistically significant. If not, I'm going to go to cutter next week, because cutter is important in this mix. Excuse me. So just to recap, and we're going to kick out of here. So I got to get ready for the live show. ISIS is a creation of Iran, statistically significant. How do we know? The United States Treasury Department proved it. Iran materially supported with weapons and money ISIS. We sanctioned the MOIS, the Ministry of International, whatever, of Iran. Ministry of Iran Services or whatever. I don't have the, what is it? Let me get it. I'll get it. We sanctioned the, not this article, wait, not this one, this one. Here it is. We sanctioned the Iranian Ministry of Intelligence and Security. So they're sanctioned as a supporter of international terrorist organizations. Supported ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, which started out as Al-Qaeda in Iraq, according to all of the mainstream media. So, and they're propping up this thing with Obama. Obama's got, I don't know exactly, I haven't put my finger around Putin and Putin's deal with Obama and the whole thing, but I believe Obama is a Muslim from Indonesia, Barry Soetoro, illegal president with a fraudulent selective service card, statistically significant, with Russian KGB ties. The Russian KGB ties, I don't have anything statistically significant. It's anecdotal at this point. It's something that I feel it's an intuitive thing I got. I can't put my finger on it yet. People say dominance. Putin's doing this for dominance, to show them to be the major influencer. And honestly, Russia could be a problem here, for the American allies, based on everything. And I say this every week, besides the imploding United States dollar, besides the imploding United States economy, the biggest threat to us is a wealthy Iran with nuclear capability. I mean, they are going to be a big problem for us. We're looking at the Islamo-Nazis. This is a quasi-socialism model with a god. This is crazy stuff. This is going to be very hard to defeat. These people don't care about living or dying. These people just want, they have this Allah Akbar and blowing buildings up. This is insanity. They have nuclear capability, and they're putting forth Russia and our fake leaders in the White House. These illegal, this foreign national and the adopted foreign national Hillary Clinton and the other adopted foreign national Bill Clinton are aiding our Iranian agents, helping Iran get around sanctions, helping Iran become wealthy and prosperous with nuclear capability. This is totally in violation of the security interests of the American people. We are in deep trouble over here. I'm telling you, this is a bad. I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but this is very bad. That we're getting lied to. There's no he ain't going to Iran talking about doing something with Assad. Are you kidding me? He's not going to Russia and telling him to do something with Assad. That ain't happening. It ain't happening. He ain't doing it. He got the deal with Iran. He doesn't care. He just got a piece of paper to give everybody to show that he got a deal, so it covers him with this global nuclear proliferation bomber. That's all he cares about. Covering his bacon. That's it. That's all he cares about. Covering himself. Fake and fraud. Truth be told, I'm telling you, this is statistically significant. Statistically significant data. All these fake prognosticators and talk show people and all this stuff that on the TV, on the airwaves, Obama, the red line with Syria and Assad. Are you kidding me? He never. Iran. He's working out a deal with Iran. Iran's giving billions of dollars to Assad. Russia's in bed with Assad. Are you kidding me over here? There's something going on with Obama and Assad. Obama is conceivably a Russian KGB. I don't have it where I got it, the pictures, the papers to prove it. I'm just saying, there's something not right. I don't know what the whole thing is. I don't have my finger wrapped around the Putin element here, the Russian element. I know Iran. I understand Iran's motives. Obviously, we have a pretty good understanding about Iran's motives. And they're not very nice. So the truth be told. So, but anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. I got to get ready for the live show. I'm just like I was so blown away listening to all these people on television, on the airwaves. Syria, Assad, Obama is in conflict with Putin. I think that's all a front based on all the information that I put forth over here. This is crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. We got, besides the imploding of the United States economy, the United States dollar, this is our biggest threat. We got to worry about the domestic stuff, and yeah, it's crazy. We'll talk about it in the live show. This is Frankie Russo pre-show number 84 over here at 77 WABC. Yeah. You got to join America's Team and get a t-shirt. AmericasTeam.today. You go to the website, join America's Team, and get a t-shirt. RussoNation.tv. Join America's Team and get a t-shirt. I'm in the process of putting a mission statement with this America's Team. So we'll have a mission statement, and the mission is we're going to be helping the men and women of the United States Armed Forces. That's what I'm telling you right now, okay? This is the real deal Holyfield organization it's going to be. I just want you all to check it out. AmericasTeam.today, RussoNation.tv. You all got to check it out, okay? I really enjoyed this pre-show. I was going crazy when I was listening to all these talk show hosts about Russia, Syria, Iran, and Obama. It's a joke. This is a joke. We're getting filled with a bunch of malarkey. I don't know all the facts on it. I'm still trying to figure out. I have a lot of it. I'm trying to figure out the Putin thing, the Putin element. Whether it's just influence, whether the war drums are beaten. I don't know. Hopefully next week I'll have more, but I'm going to go to Qatar next week because Qatar is important for many reasons. Okay, it's Frankie Russo, pre-show number 84. Yeah. I see you all about half an hour. Yeah.